Hi, and welcome to this micro lecture on the product life cycle, which is a concept that's been around for a long time. Was forwarded by the Boston Consulting Group, I believe, and it talks about the stages that a product goes through in its life cycle. So really the things that we're looking at when we think about what the product life cycle are is the evolution and duration of a product in the marketplace. And if you think about that over time, each phase has predictable sales and profits, as well as optimal marketing actions that should be taken in each one of those stages. So the assumption is every product goes through this type of life cycle. The difference is the amount of time that it takes for a product to go through these life cycles can be very long or very, very short. I think I gave you the example before, but I'll mention it again, is that when I was selling technology products through a website, our product offer, which was 250,000 products, and that's not a lie, that's exactly right, 250,000 products, could change up to 25% per month. So one product would be going away and another product would be coming along. So in the technology world, products have very short life cycles. In other industries, they're very long. So when we look at the phases, we see that there's an introductory phase, and then there's and by the way, a product can and will fail at any one of these stages, so keep that in mind. But there's an introductory stage, there's a growth stage. When the introductory stage is just getting it out into the marketplace, assuming it takes hold, there's a growth stage attached to it. Then it rides up to maturity and ultimately ends up in a decline stage. So the amount of time that it takes for all this to happen is considerably different. The sales curve that you see is in relationship to each one of those stages, as is the profit curve. So not surprisingly, we are not very profitable at the introduction because we're spending lots of money and we don't have sales yet. And at the very end, we hold on to the product as long as we can make a profit on it. So, again, it depends on the product lines, but sometimes that decline stage might be over decades. It's not something that happens right away. So under market introduction, we have some low sales. We do a lot of heavy promotional spending to build up the awareness, especially for new ideas of products, things that haven't been out there before. And when we think about pricing strategies, there's a penetration pricing strategy where we offer a really low price. And then we, bring it out into introduction. And the idea is that we get people to try the product, like the product, and will be willing to rebuy the product even at a higher price. So that's what penetration strategy is all about. Skimming strategy starts out at a very high price. We're trying to recoup some of the R&D costs. We're trying to get some profits in to keep our company financially viable. So some of these things are just basically the nature of the product that really come into play. So pricing strategies really depend on the type of product you're trying to sell and the marketplace you're trying to sell it to. When we think about market growth, we think about the sales and profit increasing and competitors entering into the marketplace, killing each other off, or specializing. So this happens, you introduce a new product, then a lot of Me Too's come into the marketplace, and they drive the sales and profit down. And you have to have some kind of competitive advantage that would allow you to sustain your growth through that onslaught, if you will. Promotion at that point is really focusing on how your product is differentiated and is better. And distribution coverage, you try to get as great a distribution as you can. You might look for opportunities to increase your price so you can increase your profit potential. On the other end of it is market maturity, where industry sales are strong but begin to level off. Competition is fierce. We have lots of different people out there, where the weaker firms tend to drop out because profits are declining. There's lots of examples of that we can think of today. But what I can think of is landline phones. I mean, who needs a landline phone? They're still out there. People use them, and they spend money on them. but there's not a lot of growth potential in them. So how do you manage that product line at its maturity? So promotion focuses on the product superiority, and as a reminder to buy. Product line may be extended. You might try different things. You do that all along as the product matures. You think about doing line extensions to kind of keep it going, keep it alive. We can think of lots of examples of that as well. But typically we see eroding prices and eroding profitability in this stage of the life cycle. So there's a lot of different things we can think about. So sales and profit decline, new products replace older generations. So the example they give is correction fluid. Whiteout was one of the number one office products of all time. But who buys it anymore? I can't imagine too many people actually buy it, so gives you an idea of a product who's seen its better days. The product may be divested, harvested, reducing support on it, just trying to get as much as you can out of it. If you can, you try to rejuvenate it, you come up with new ideas, but what are you going to do with correction fluid? I mean, there's only so many things you can do, right? So that is the product life cycle, and it gives you there's a lot more to it than what I've described, but it gives you an idea of conceptually how a product goes through an actual life. All products seem to go through it, but the variable that really matters a lot is time. Some take a long time to go through its life cycle. Some are very, very short. If you have any questions about this topic, please let me know. And we'll move on. We'll talk about other aspects of product introduction.